SportsGrid, college football today, right back at it here. Hour number 2 is officially underway. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe, Lisi, and we are ready for some SEC action. The vibes are high. Get an look, you need coffee? Maybe an IV. Like some people were partying last night, Joe. The IV needs to be in there to play these football games today, and away we go. Yeah, I love it.
I love it. I haven't had enough
IV,
coffee.
like the next day, like you didn't feel so good?
Nah, I did it
How about
a long
liquid
time
IV?
ago. Now, you know what I do?
What do you do?
When I go to Vegas, I do the oxygen. You know that.
I did, yeah. Was there
the
with
oxygen
you?
pumps you right up.
Yeah.
I like the oxygen better than the IV.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, you got to go IV. Even though I've never had an IV, it just feels like you got to go IV.
Nah,
at
you
that
can't.
point.
You get you potential to carry too much water in the face.
Now, early in the season, Joe, SEC territory, you know it's going to be hot. You know Georgia, Tennessee is going to be absolutely sensational today. 100,000 fans. What do they call it? The Admiral? What is the Admirals? What's their fan base called when they drive up and down the river over there?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, come on now. You never been on a boat down there?
No, I was on. They eat a lot of catfish in Tennessee, I tell you that. I was under the V and the O. I had nosebleed
way
seats.
up top.
Way up top.
Was it still a little bit open when you went there?
Yeah.
Or was it completely enclosed back then?
It was raining.
Yeah, wow.
And I was wearing a poncho.
Yeah.
It's all concrete on the upper nosebleeds.
Was Reggie White playing in that game?
No.
Wasn't that far back?
It was Al Wilson days. Al Wilson.
That was a good run.
Raynoch Thompson.
Yeah, good one.
Peyton Manning.
Peerless
Joey
Price.
Kent. Joey Kent
was a good one. Yep. Now let's get back to this game today, Joe. Georgia and Tennessee. If we line it up once again for us, 4.5 as a spread, 50.5 as a total. We talked about that in hour number 1, but I still want to just kick this game off. Are we still looking at value if you like Tennessee, or is it, hey, I can't bet it? But then again, this line dropped for a reason. They should be legitimate in this with a chance to win it outright, Joe.
I keep telling you, yeah, you're right. I mean, if you like Tennessee, they basically have to come to play and basically win the game outright. I mean, we're not talking a 21-point spread. We're not talking 10. We're not talking 13. We're talking less than a touchdown. Again, I keep going to the numbers. Georgia's won 9 straight, 8 straight. But this is the lowest spread we've seen in the series dating back to 2015, 2016. Yeah. And, oh, by the way, Georgia lost both of those games and didn't cover. -2 and -3.5, respectively. Josh Dobbs was the quarterback for Tennessee back then. So, again, if you're buying into Tennessee, yes, you want to get, I think, over a key number of 4. Obviously, is always great. You want to take the 4.5. But if you're a Georgia backer, you're still getting 2 points of discount to where this line opened up on Sunday night at 6.5.
I know you like to change tendencies here, Joe. And Georgia, we know, is a fantastic defense. But understand this. Offense for Tennessee looks pretty good. That's what Heupel does. Passing props, Joe. Aguilar, 201.5. Gunnar Stockton, 219.5. Touchdown passing props. Each one of these quarterbacks for over 1.5 touchdown passes. Aguilar, 1.5 is plus 154. You take a look at Stockton, 1.5, it's a minus 118 price. Which quarterback, Joe, are you going with today if you had to bet props on?
Easy, Aguilar.
Okay.
Aguilar, because you look back to the recent big games that they have played, and the quarterback for Tennessee has been inconsistent. Nico was inconsistent. Hendon Hooker had a terrible game when he went to Athens, and they were 6.5, 7-point dog, and he got sacked 6 times. If there's going to be one quarterback to blow through his total today, it has to be Joey Aguilar. Well, we believe he's an upgrade from Nico. Now he has to show it. So, again, Stockton could be in the area, 180, 190. I keep telling you the numbers. Here's one. 51-0, Donnie. Those numbers don't lie. Georgia, every time they rush for over 200 yards, that's dating back from 2017 against FCS and FBS opponents. They don't lose. The 2 years that they won back-to-back national championships, year 1, they rushed for over 208 times. Year 2, when they beat TCU, that year they rushed for over 206 times. They only averaged last year 132 rushing yards per game. Had one game where they rushed for over 200 yards. Right now, they're averaging 214, have one game already. So the rushing attack, to me, is more critical for Georgia than it is Tennessee. I need to see more out of Tennessee's passing game today.
Good. How about this segue over to the running back position, Joe? I'm going to give you 2 running backs today and 2 totals to take a look at. Star Thomas for Tennessee, 35.5 is his rushing prop, Joe. Nate Frazier, 56.5. You had to go one back on one of these numbers. Where do you go?
I took Frazier. I told you in the open, I altered him plus 168 at 70+. So, again, it comes down, and I understand they use running back by committee, but Nate Frazier has to be the workhorse. Think about the game last year when the rushing attack was inconsistent and they played Texas on the road. It was ETN that had the big day. 3 rushing touchdowns. He had like 75, 80 yards on the ground. It has to be your workhorse. That's Nate Frazier. Look for him to get a heavy dose early, build a lead, and then maybe Stockton can work off a play action.
How about wide receivers, Joe? Brazel, 45.5 yards, screaming to me as a wide receiver to wide receiver, Joe. He's got to be a key today. If you need Tennessee to get off the schneid and loosen up that running game, the wide receivers have to produce today. But also, Joe, looking down the list, like he's 45.5. Mike Matthews, 36.5. Staley, 41.5. Not a lot of big-name wide receivers here with big numbers, Joe.
I would take Matthews. And the reason why I say that is think about Kirby Smart, defensive-minded head coach, just like Nick Saban. He's going to take away your number one option. Now, Brazel and Matthews have combined for 22 receptions, over 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But Brazel has more of a consistent quarterback to wide receiver relationship with Aguilar, so look for Georgia to take that away. That means Matthews should eat underneath. We'll see if they could do it. I mean, both of those guys, you can't go wrong. Even if, let's say, Brazel's contained in the first half, you might get a 20 number in the second half. If Aguilar's going to step up, he's going to do it.
We know Georgia, Joe. They want to run the football, but obviously you can't just run the football and pound your head into that brick wall time and time again. Zachariah Branch is a talented wide receiver. He sits at 38.5, Joe. But how about Oscar Delp, 16.5? That tells me 2 catches, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at big games for Georgia, they always go to the tight ends, right? Lucky Lawson, Lucky, and Oscar Delp. Delp has great numbers, 16.5. I'll take it a step further. Delp anytime touchdown, I think, is where we look.
We're going next.
Yep. Sure, red zone opportunities. But I do like Delp over the 16.5.
You know what's nice to see, Joe? Because we look at this game, and yes, we are expecting an SEC crazy football game, fantastic across the board. But so many times we see in college football the touchdown props out of whack. Hey, Nicholas Singleton to get a touchdown. Yeah, minus 400. Remember Ashton Ginty last year? You had to mortgage your house just to hope he scored a touchdown. And if he got injured, you lost your house because of how expensive it was. You look at Nate Frazier, minus 110. Bishop, plus 105. And then everybody else is plus money down that board. If you had to find a few players in this game that could hit pay dirt, where is that pay dirt picks at, baby?
I think Aguilar is an option. I think Matthews is an option for Tennessee.
Sneak.
I do like Delp, though, for Georgia.
Yeah.
Delp and Frazier would be my 2 guys that I'd step up and, you look at Zachariah Branch potentially has a touchdown, 6 receptions, 112 yards. You look at Colby Young as another option in that Georgia offense. Keep an eye out for that. I always like the running backs for Georgia to score. But Delp, the tight ends are always utilized in red zone opportunities, whether it be Lawson Lucky or Oscar Delp. I like both of those.
Some other fun prop bets out there in the marketplace, Joe. You take a look at Gunnar Stockton and Joey Aguilar to each record 10-plus passing in each quarter to plus 124. Who's throwing for 3 yards in a quarter, Joe? Put it this way. If you don't bet that, who's ruining your day on that bet who can't throw for 10 yards a quarter?
The problem is, Donnie, is that if this
ball
was
control, what are we doing?
If this was old school college football, we have that bet no problem. Now the clock doesn't stop after first downs. You could have one drive where you get 9 minutes off the clock, and then all of a sudden the other opposing quarterback's on the sidelines 3 and out, and the bet is lost.
How about Brazel and Branch, Joe? Each have 20-plus receiving yards in each half. 11-1. That's your all-territory there.
That I like.
Bump it up, man.
Brazel, even though I like Matthews more than Brazel, 20 yards in each half, 40 yards total.
What shocks you in this game? What at the end of the day, this game goes final. What shocks you?
Double-digit win. That would shock me.
What happens to Kirby Smart looking for a job? They don't deal with that down there well.
Stop.
He always handles Tennessee. He always pounds them.
Margin of victory and or margin of defeat are going to matter for all these games. What happens here, if Tennessee loses by 3, that's still good enough to be in the conversation as long as they have, let's say, 2 losses to get into the college football playoff.
Who's right on that point spread, Joe? 7.5, now down to 3.5 and 4.5, depending where you're shopping at. And also understand this, a 50.5 total. This is Gunnar Stockton going to step up. Aguilar going to step up. Is Josh Heupel going to have the boys smoking cigars in the seats? We'll find out a little bit later today. Let's switch gears and hit more college football next, Notre Dame style.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Donnie, the season is 6 months, 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month, that is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's the Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at it through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls in anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
SportsGrid, college football today, right here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Donnie Rightside here, nice gray jacket. That's Joe Lisi in a blue jacket. And we are having fun, letting it rip, and getting after it today, baby. We got a lot of picks to get to, Joe.
I can't
How
wait.
do you feel about that blue jacket you got on
it's
there?
It's gray. I look like
on.
Rain Man with the jacket
Wow.
on, counting cards.
Yeah.
That's it.
You ever count cards at the casino, by the way?
Can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not smart enough to do that. You know what I mean? At this point right now. It's just the way it is, people. You know what we're smart enough to do? Handicap games like Notre Dame taking on Texas A&M. Understand this. Notre Dame wins, right back in that playoff picture. Notre Dame loses, it's going to be tough to get back in control. They are favored to win this football game, Joe, minus 6.5 points with a total of 50.5. So let's start there once again. Chances Notre Dame opens the season 0-2? No,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Wow,
there is
SEC.
a good,
SEC.
There's a good, let's not forget this game last year. A&M had a lead. And Notre Dame responded and won it by 10. Jeremiah Love had a huge fourth quarter. They pulled it out in College Station, 23-13. Connor Wegman was terrible in that game.
Bad.
Shout out, he got the win last night over Colorado. I'll just say this. They have, and I'll set the argument. Okay. Notre Dame has no shot to make it to the college football playoff if they lose.
I think they do. I think they do, Joe.
No shot.
Here they come, Joe.
They have no shot.
They won 10 games in a row. They're the hottest team in the country.
Donnie,
we love Notre Dame. You know it's coming. You know it's coming. I want them to lose today just so I can prove you wrong.
All right, well, there you go. They have a good shot to lose today. It's going to be up to C.J. Carr. It's going to be up to the offensive line. They have to run the football with Jeremiah Love. I think if Notre Dame wins and covers, it's Jeremiah Love on the ground. We talk about the Texas A&M front seven giving up 140 yards per game. They've been a little suspect in back-to-back weeks, like teams against UTSA and Utah State. They need Marcel Reed, though. That's the catalyst if you're back in Texas A&M like I am to step up. Marcel Reed's number, to me, is light. I think he could abuse them on the ground. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
They didn't have a good performance defensively, Notre Dame. They couldn't get a pass rush on Carson Beck. Preach it all week. We got to get to the passer. We have to get to the pass. They play man-to-man coverage against A&M. He could abuse them on the ground with just breaking, containing, and open running lanes. I love Marcel Reed on the ground, yards and touchdowns. That's the difference. A&M might not win it, but I like the points in the ballgame.
Yeah, those props here for the player passing props. C.J. Carr, Notre Dame, 205.5 currently here, and Marcel Reed at 194.5. It is a low number. He's got over 5 bills already on the season, 7 touchdown passes, no interceptions. And if you think they're going to be losing in that game, Then they're going to be passing in the fourth quarter. I think you're on to something there with Marcel Reed. But I do want to focus. We had the graphic come up on the screen. Doesn't it feel like Jeremiah Love, maybe the most talented running back in the country, just couldn't get untracked in that Miami game? 10 carries for 33 yards, and I think he jumped for more yards than he actually ran for at that point. 8.5 is his number, Joe. It feels like to me like he needs 10 carries in the first quarter and a half, Joe.
Yeah, he does. And you think about the fan base, you think about Denbrock. Again, did the right thing by getting C.J. Carr involved. But then how do you just go away from your playmaker?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Their offense was predicated on running the football, even when they had Riley Leonard last year. And to get away from Jeremiah Love was just a completely baffling game plan. Here's the problem. They did get him involved in the screen game late. I still think he can catch the football out of the backfield. But, again, if they're going to win and cover, 80.5 is cheap. If you're back in Notre Dame, Love not just for one, maybe two today.
Yeah, and the thing you love, too, you look at the 8.5, it's like he's not a plotter. He doesn't need 21 carries to get that. That's okay. 3rd and 3, everybody's at the line, 62-yard touchdown.
Yeah, we interviewed him
so many times.
I interviewed him out.
We did? I
in
did,
Super
too?
Bowl.
Did I?
I thought you were there. Well, you might have been hanging in the balance. You were probably getting lunch or something.
Exactly. Having an early meal down there.
Kid.
Joey's? What place were we eating down there?
Joey's.
Yeah.
But let me just say, Jeremiah Love is a Heisman contender. They just didn't feed him last time. It's just amazing if Notre Dame loses this game and Jeremiah Love gets 15 carries for 45 yards and you're already out of the college football playoff. They have Boise State, they have Arkansas, they have USC. There's no shot in Purdue. Those are the only big games that they have the rest of the way. They're not getting back into the college football playoff. They're not, Donnie. I don't care if they've won 10 straight.
Remember when they lost to NIU? No way, no care. What happens the rest of the season? They can't get in. Who was in the college football championship last year?
But they had marquee wins at some point
I don't care. They lost to NIU. No, they can't get in, Joe.
But you go into A&M week 1, that's a quality win. They went into Miami. They lose a tight game. You lose as a 6.5-point home favorite. You can't have that. You can't start the year 0-2 and back into the only way they're making the college football playoff is if all these teams, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, they're all like 8-4. Then
Nope.
Not happening.
The power of Notre
shot.
Dame. By the way, talking about no shots, how about the wide receivers, Jordan Faison? Where were you week 1? What's it? 38.5. By the way, Eli Rarigan was their lead dog at tight end last week, Joe.
Go back
around the chip and coop, 43.5.
Touchdown, too. Touchdown. He was a main target of C.J. Carr. He dropped some passes early in the first half, but again, he made up for it. He had the big reception over the top in the 3rd and 4th quarter. He's a playmaker. He's got mismatch size, right? You utilize him in red zone. The problem is the game plan is going to be run the football, work off of play action. So, again, maybe we look at receptions. Maybe we look at anytime touchdown, but he's a good option for the offense. I'm telling
you right now, Jeremiah Love is a -210 price to score a touchdown. Why? They don't want you to bet that, which means what? He's going to score a touchdown, Joe, in the first half.
He's like Derrick Henry.
Yep, you're not sweating this.
Right.
I'm not sweating. I'll lay the 210. I'm not sweating.
I said 2, though. Why? If you like him at 1.
Yeah.
Why not 2?
Because I'll shut the TV off at 1 and I'm done for the day. I'm going out relaxing. You're sweating it out in the 4th quarter, hoping for a late touchdown that point right now. I think that's going to be a great game. Real quick thoughts on the total in this game, Joe, because Notre Dame played a really good Miami team. Still put up in the mid-20s. I don't think this defense is as good as Miami's or that pressure cooker where I think C.J. Carr is going to have a full game, not a half of a game or 1/4 of a game because the play calling comes in. How do we stay under the total in this game?
I just think that Mike Elko, again, defensive coach, rookie quarterback, making his second start, coming out of a bye, there is the potential to be under in this matchup. I would lean to the under. I don't love it. Notre Dame's defense, I want to see how they perform in the first half. Certainly not the same front seven that we saw last year, getting after opposing quarterbacks. If they have a good game plan in place, we might trend to what we did last year, 36 points. I would lean to the under because, again, Texas A&M needs a much better defensive effort against Notre Dame. They're not going to win the game and cover, allowing well over 20 points in this matchup.
I was just disappointed, Joe, the way C.J. Carr was used in this game. I expect the full game. I actually like his passing and rushing props combined in this one. I think it's a pretty solid day. And then we transition over to Miami versus South Florida. Tampa is in South Florida, Joe. Why are they called South Florida anyway? We're going to beat on South Florida next. Why? I think the Hurricanes have a chance to run away with this thing? Crazy talk, huh? We'll be right back on the grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, yeah. I'm not. Listen, we thank them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards. You know,
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
SportsGrid, college football today, the place to be each and every Saturday right here on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Lisi. All we do is have fun. All we do is bet games. And all we do is win some of these big games here. Big-time games, which include South Florida. Oh, look at that. It's not the Florida Gators. It's not the Florida State here. The big battle of Florida today, it's actually Miami versus South Florida, the Bulls and the Hurricanes. Riddle me this, Joe. 15.5 to open the week. That's too many points. We got to take South Florida. Sits at 17.5 right now in a total of 56.5. We're expecting points, Joe. Woo! Dynamite spot tonight.
I'm still taking the points with South Florida. I believe in Byron Brown. I think this team, again, I keep telling you, it's a 4:30 kick, so it's on CW. It's playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. They could throw the kitchen sink out of Miami. All the pressure's on Carson Beck and Mario Cristobal in the spot. Again, they do have Florida on deck next week. Again, I keep talking about the look ahead. I don't suggest that Miami's overlooking South Florida because they have upsets now in back-to-back weeks against the Gators and Boise State. But again, to get these guys up each and every week is going to be very difficult. You know, we've seen it throughout the years. Teams play down to the level of competition. Miami is 6-1 all-time against South Florida. They blew them out in the second half last year. That was a big game for Cam Ward. It was a big game for Restrepo in that matchup. He had a huge second-half performance, and the athleticism shone through. But this front seven for South Florida is much better in run support. They're only giving up 122 rushing yards per game. This game, to me, is going to come down to Mark Fletcher. If that offensive line in the rushing attack of Miami can pound it 4 and 5 yards per carry, turn it off. There's no way South Florida is going to cover this line. But if you start to see Carson Beck in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 type of situations, I think they can get to him. And that's something Notre Dame couldn't do. That will be the difference whether South Florida does cover this line. I'm taking the points with the Bulls, but I do feel it trends to the under. That's the only way South Florida can win and cover.
Converting, I should say, on third downs is going to be key. And you got a guy that can move it around there in Byron Brown. Fun player here. Only one touchdown pass, Joe, in the season so far early in the season. His prop, minus 275 to throw a touchdown pass today. If he doesn't throw a touchdown pass, I don't think they're going to compete with Miami. You probably should be taking that over 1.5. But Carson Beck over 2.5 touchdown passes, Joe. Listed at a minus 102 price. And just looking at the passing props themselves, Beck 271.5 and Brown at 196.5. What gives on those quarterback props for you?
You would have to say, Carson Beck would probably have the best numbers.
Yeah.
In this ball game. Again, you look at Byron Brown, to your point, they only have one passing touchdown. Yep. They're throwing it for 200-plus yards per game, but they're still running the football. They're utilizing Byron Brown's athleticism on the perimeter. They want to sustain drives 5-6 minutes. When you don't have elite playmakers on both sides of the ball, you want to keep a more explosive offense on the sidelines. It's going to come down to what does that front seven do with Carson Beck. But again, I like the Miami props. Mm-hmm. I like Fletcher to score.
Yeah.
I like Fletcher on the ground, his total yards.
By the way, it's going down, Joe.
Yeah, because
he's at 69.5 right now.
Well, there you go.
What's the deal? We expect Sharmar Brown to come in and steal the game?
It's possible. He's a bigger back. But I just think also you look at this game and you say, okay, Miami's faster. They're bigger. They're stronger. Is this game going to be a track meet or is it going to be an ugly game? And I think the perception is, too, wow, they can't do it again, can they?
Yeah.
There's no way they could do it. We're not asking them to win.
No.
We're asking them to keep it between basically 10 and 13 points. And even if you're down 21, you still have the opportunity with a mobile quarterback to backdoor it at some point. So there is that option. I like having the 17.5 in my back pocket. If we're looking South Florida side, it's got to be Byron Brown. I mean, it's got to be the touchdowns and it's got to be the yardage on the ground, through the air, multiple. If Byron Brown and USF is going to cover, I need to have at least 250-plus total yards of offense.
I'm going to certainly need that. That Miami front seven is going to be key today, trying to keep Brown in the pocket. But also understand this, Joe, looking at some of the other prop bets. It's like, hey, looking at FanDuel, where's Malachi Toney? The kid's so young, they can't even post his prop bets. Yeah. Like some books, you can't get that. I know Bet365 does have his props, which in that parlay that I used was give me some passing yardage, passing touchdowns, and more importantly, Malachi Toney, man, the dude can get down there deep. I think he's going to have a good game today.
He can. I think if we look, C.J. Daniels seems to be that security blanket for Carson Beck.
Couple touchdown catches,
has great hands, the Liberty LSU transfer. So Toney could get the yards. But again, I think if we're looking big play touchdowns, Daniels, too, could break out in the passing attack.
What shocks you in this one? What's the shocker at the end of it? Don't tell me Cristobal calls a timeout. We didn't have one. It's a penalty, and they lose the game.
It would be what we saw against Georgia Tech and Syracuse last year.
Come on.
Donnie,
the Syracuse game was so painful.
If we turn it on, 24-20, fourth quarter, South Florida up with 3 minutes left. That would shock me.
Hurricane warnings coming in, and we'll find it. By the way, need to continue to put up that yardage here for Carson Wentz, try to win that Heisman Trophy. Is he just going to play well because he wants to get the Cavinder twins' attention again? Like, what's the motivation for Carson Beck here?
The motivation is don't be like former quarterbacks and lose games that you should dominate.
Rozier, slash that. Yeah, good job, man. Come on, Mark Rick. Come back and talk to us, baby. We'll be right back here with so many prop bets, your head is going to spin.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, yeah. I'm not. Listen, we thank them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards.
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
about a half hour from kickoff right now. It is SportsGrid college football today. Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi here. Picks. You want more picks? You absolutely got them, Joe. The ACC today. Haynes King. The question is he getting picked to be the starting quarterback today, Joe? Let me just start there. Like, what, are we worried? Are we hammed up here? Injuries?
No.
What is his injury anyway?
The injury, he's been he got banged up last week, didn't play in the second half of that matchup. They do have backup quarterbacks that are a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. If they have to rely on the backups, throw the game away, it's a Clemson route. But I don't see that. Haynes King, I believe, will play in this matchup. It's 3.5s out there right now. We saw this line dip from basically 6.5 on Sunday down to 2.5, and now back up to 3.5 and some 4s in the market. It's been a series that has been dominated by Clemson. Yeah. They've won 9 straight, the last 4, Donnie, by an average margin of victory of 31 points per game. They've won the last 8, and when you look at the last 8 meetings, 7-1 against the number for the Clemson Tigers. But I don't think it's the same Clemson offense with Cade Klubnik. We heard Terry Bowden come on and talk. They're inconsistent. Yep. They can't run the football. They're averaging 65 yards on the ground. And, oh, by the way, Georgia Tech has one of the best third-down defenses, holding opposing offenses to 29% on third-down opportunities. Haynes King is the more experienced quarterback in this type of spot. I still believe he's a quarterback playing with house money. As an underdog, he steps up. I like Georgia Tech to strike the upset. Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
They haven't played in Atlanta in the series dating back to 2020. That was the year that Trevor Lawrence and Clemson put a 73 spot. They won that game 73-7. You think Brent Key and Georgia Tech don't remember that? You don't think the Yellow Jacket fans don't remember that? I understand it's Clemson, but this is by far not the same dominant Clemson team that we've seen back in 2016 and 17. I think Georgia Tech is live today.
The rambling wreck of Georgia Tech. Now, understand this. Like, you watch Haynes King. He's an elite runner of the football, Joe, but I'm seeing 46.5 yards. If we are looking and they need to win this football game, he's going to have to go over 46.5. But what is the game plan if you are banged up, saying, well, maybe we limit the damage and don't run you as much?
Yeah, running could be right into the strength of Clemson. They're giving up 93 rushing yards per game. You look at the balance for Georgia Tech through 2 weeks, rushing for 200+, throwing for 300+. And that's where, even without Haynes King in the offense, and the weakness for right now, Clemson, has been that secondary. They're giving up basically 228 passing yards to opposing offenses. So if Troy can move the football over the top, and we saw LSU and Garrett Nussmeier throw for 232, I got to believe that Haynes King can at least get to 250 in this game. They're average. He might have to break out.
How about Cade Klubnik, though?
I can't take him.
It's almost like, Joe, with Cade Klubnik, we're still waiting for him to be great, even though he does have his moments. But the expectations are every week he should be back there standing and delivering. 250.5 is his total today. What are you feeling about that?
213 is what they've thrown in back-to-back weeks. Now, I understand it was a wet track last week. They had, a delay for an hour and a half. But against Troy and against LSU, you've only averaged 213 yards through the air. Antonio Williams is out of this lineup. They're going to miss 2 other potential starters. This offense does not look the same. They're not converting on third down, 33% on third down opportunities. Against Troy, you struggled. So, again, I don't have any confidence in Klubnik. He might get there, 250, 260. This might be the game like we saw Arch Manning last week. 3-4 touch. Oh, that's the Clemson that we're with. I just can't do it. True road environment with a hornet's nest in Bobby Dodd Stadium, a blue-collar coach in Brent Pry and Brent Key and Haynes King. That's just a money makers. And give me Georgia Tech. I'm not taking anybody on Clemson.
The rambling wreck today should be fun too. And also, if Clemson loses, do we still have those Dabo Swinney call-in shows that you can call in and ask him a couple quick questions?
No, he cut those off a year ago.
Talking about cutting it off here, Joe. You just said Arch Manning. He's listed today at 2.5 touchdown passes at -132. In what, again, you could just roll back. In what world does Arch Manning not have 3 touchdowns today? How does he not get 3 touchdowns?
There you go. Well, I told you, 3 on the ground last week.
He had 4 touchdown passes in 5 game minutes last week, Joe.
They have to get him involved. They did it. They put up 38 points.
Easy.
They should roll. The only thing is, is that do they rest him in the second half? And that would be the only thing. If they roll up 35, 30,
even if they're up 35, he's got to have at least, I mean, come on. That's your only job is to get him touchdowns.
I mean, the passing attack needs to have more consistency out of Texas. One game doesn't make a season, so you would want to see that out of Arch Manning. Just the way we talked about LSU and Garrett Nussmeier breaking out today. Again, you can't throw it for 200 and win by 13 points. If you're going to be in the national championship hunt, if you're going to be and have style points that matter, or if it ever comes down to a college football playoff decision, you want to rout these teams. You don't want to leave any doubt.
Nope.
So, I mean, what is it, minus 132?
Yeah. He gets 3 easy today. We're on the charge now. We can get him back into that Heisman race. And, it was just a, abomination day number 1. Forget about that. He played at Ohio State. Now everything's in order. I think he has a monster day again. Now, again, 2.5 touchdown passes, Joe. I think he has that at the half.
It's possible.
He has at the half.
What did he do? He put up 21 in the second quarter last week.
Yeah, by the way, last week, it was a little bit of a struggle early on.
7 minutes,
this
no
isn't looking
score.
good right now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the pinball machine started to happen all the way across, and you got that. Could it be a pinball machine tonight down in Baton Rouge? Why? Because Garrett Nussmeier, he's listed at a 276 and a half number, Joe.
I love the over here today. I took it at 46.5 and 47.5. Garrett Nussmeier and this offense have been a little, I said vanilla. I booked him at 300 plus.
Open it up.
It wouldn't shock me if he throws for 3 or 4 touchdowns tonight. I expect LSU to rout them. Aaron Anderson, I think, has a big day. Trey-Des Green, the backup tight end, is out for this game. So that means Bauer Sharp, the Oklahoma transfer, should get a bulk of the targets at the tight end position. Harlan Berry came in, the freshman. He rushed for over 7 yards per carry last week, 50-plus yards. Caden Durham can catch the football. It's Barry and Brown. It's Aaron Anderson. It's all of the offensive weapons. And I don't think Brian Kelly holds back here. This is a game. You saw a vanilla game plan in last week. It's a gold out tonight.
You can bury a program.
It's a sold-out gold out.
Yep.
That's what it is. Everybody
How
wearing
do you know,
gold.
Though?
I have boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground in Baton Rouge. Now,
Rouge.
can I sell you on this? DJ Lagwell steals it tonight.
No.
Comes out of there with a dub. Big
Smash.
dub. 208.5, Joe.
No.
That's it.
No.
208.5.
No, he's completing.
What's he doing tonight?
He's playing well.
Yeah.
I believe he's got, 4 touchdowns this year. He's throwing for 72% completion percentage. Has played well, but I can't buy into Billy Napier, especially when you're critical of the play calling against South Florida. You limp to field goals and you lose 18-16. And he says, don't worry, I'm calling the plays tonight against Blake Baker. Good luck. It's an LSU. I think LSU wins by
LSU stomp tonight.
14-plus tonight.
You know where else is going to be a stomp? In Tuscaloosa today. Huge victory for the Alabama Crimson Tide, which the focus should be on Ryan Williams. Remember last year, pirouette touchdowns, one of the best wide receivers in football? Jumping and dropping passes versus Florida State, then getting injured. Looks like he'll be back today, Joe. 68.5 is receiving prop. Are we just throwing bombs to this guy early? What are we doing?
Well, the secondary for Wisconsin's sound. They're giving up about 180 passing yards per game, and I know in week 1 they shut down Daquan Finn in Miami O. But here's the thing. I mean, yes, he should blow through that today. If you're Alabama, you want to push tempo. Danny O'Brien's total's 148.5. But I keep going back. I think Wisconsin covers this line. I think it's an ugly game, and I think they force Alabama's hand.
How about Dylan Jones?
You want to step up with Dylan Jones today?
37.5. Can he get that number?
He can. Why not?
How about a little alt for Ty Simpson? Lower, Joe. 5 yards rushing, minus 225. Is that going to fit your parlay today?
Well, sack yards count.
5 yards rushing.
5 yards for Ty Simpson.
Minus 225, though. Like, you're paying a big price for
Can you
that.
alt it to 10?
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, well, you can make – well, then I would take 10. I would take 10. 10 yards. That's one scramble.
Any other prop shots today? What about Temple? I mean, just load up on Temple props. Bang, bang. Mateer doesn't stand a chance. Mateer's unders all game.
I'm going to say Mateer 400-plus, Mateer 3+ touchdowns, Mateer over 30 rushing yards.
Come on now. I don't believe it. I mean, what time we starting at? 12 o'clock here? Everybody floating over to the stadium. Standing room only.
Got a cheesesteak in
We're
Philly.
back. By the way, right around the corner is a pretty good cheesesteak place right down there on Oregon Avenue. Broad in Oregon, in that area. But this is what we do, people. We talk football. By the way, coming up on kickoff, Joe, 20 minutes away, people. Stay with us right here on the Sports Grid Network. We got you covered.
The sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
Give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
The
come
guy's
on.
going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, I'm not. Listen, we thank them for their service.
do,
I love
yeah.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra
What's
point,
his
you got to
range?
hold your breath.
27 yards? You know what I mean?
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
About 15 minutes to kick off right now. You are spending your time right here with us, Joe, on the SportsGrid Network.
Love it.
Don't you love it? Isn't
Yeah.
it fun?
I'm having
What better
fun.
place to beat him right now?
I really like this slate today. I mean, throughout the week, throughout the windows, and that's the one thing about college football, the 12 o'clock window. You got Alabama, Wisconsin, Oregon, and Northwestern. That wets the palate. You got Georgia Tech and Clemson.
Yeah, right up the top.
And then 3:30, we get Georgia and Tennessee. I love the fact that it's a day game.
You ever been down to Bobby Dodd? Looks like a great little place to watch a football
but
game.
it looks
though.
like they're right on you.
Right in Atlanta, right
It's
on
hot,
top of you
it's
there.
humid. But let me just say this.
Go.
I love day football. I hate night games.
Good point.
Can't stand it.
Good
I
point.
like the shadows coming in, Neyland Stadium. Show me
High
those
school,
3:30.
Joe,
Back
we
in the
played
day.
all our games on Saturdays, maybe one or
Yeah.
two games on a Friday night away. I always loved that. Same thing at college.
yeah.
Hated Friday night football games in college.
I don't like. I understand why they do it prime time and we have to play. But going back to when we grew up, Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Action.
Throw another pancake on that plate. Yeah,
That's
let's go,
it.
Keith Jackson. That's my guy here. By the way, Clemson and Georgia Tech, Joe, that 9.5 turned into 3s now at game time. 51.5 total. Talk to me quickly about that 51.5 in that game. Can we get there?
Clemson, G-Tech?
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the
You
thing.
thinking an under, though?
I think, unfortunately, I think we trend to the under. I think right now, if you're Brent Key and you're Georgia Tech, again, you don't want to get into a track meet. I keep saying Brent Key, but it is Brent Key. Brent Fry,
Key. Tough one. It is a tough one.
It is. But Georgia Tech, even though they have the more explosive offense, you don't want to turn on Clemson and Key Klubnik, right?
Yeah.
This is a team that's owned you. I want to get them started. I want to make sure I score first. I want to jump up early and then rely on my defense that's been much improved over back-to-back weeks and over the past 3 seasons under Brent Key, that they're more physical and can maybe force some turnovers under Key Klubnik. There's so many unknowns about Dabo Swinney and Clemson right now. We think Cade Klubnik is a Heisman Trophy candidate. We think Clemson is a contender. They haven't shown it in 2 weeks now.
Yeah. By the way, you want two schools that hate each other, Joe?
God.
How about Pitt and West Virginia? Little backyard
love the
brawl.
points.
3:30.
Love the
I'm looking at
points.
FanDuel's opening number, Joe. -1.5. Now 7.5. What happened?
Nah, I don't know.
Fake? Maybe somebody was saying they were injured.
I
What
mean,
happened?
the loss for West Virginia against Ohio, 17-10, where
Brutal.
it's obviously not the same type of offense with Rich Rod in the second stint, taking over for Neil Brown. But here's the thing. You have Eli Holstein. You have Pittsburgh. Let's not forget, last year, 6-0. They go into SMU. They get absolutely smashed 7-0 football team, and they fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
They lost 6 straight. They just psychologically never recovered. They have the better quarterback. Rich Rod, in this type of situation as an underdog, coming off a disappointing loss to a MAC opponent, and Parker Navarro in Ohio pushed Rutgers. They are a good football team. But again, I'll still take the points with West Virginia. Look to a lower scoring game. Give me West Virginia. It wouldn't shock me if this game goes down to the final 2 minutes.
You're talking about the ultimate dual-threat quarterback in college football. He comes from the MAC, Joe. How about Parker and the boys going to take on Ohio State today? Line, 29.5. When is the last time you saw this? Ohio playing at Ohio State. Usually it's like, okay, lay that number at 37.5. What's it at game time? 44.5. How about the opening number at 32.5 for Ohio State? Now we're seeing 28.5 at DraftKings here.
I would take a shot.
Ohio, the truth, Joe.
I would take a shot with the 28.5.
Woo!
I don't love it, but I do love the over. I mean, to me, Parker Navarro, I know they shut down West Virginia last week. Totally different offense, especially when you have a new scheme coming in. You got to weed the players out. I go back to that week 1 matchup against Rutgers where they got abused and gave up 31 points. Now, all of a sudden, Julian saying you have this Ohio State offense, Jeremiah Smith, that broke out with a huge performance. 49.5 is the total, Donnie? I mean,
is it slim?
Could be in the first half.
Shooting it out, having some fun here. How about ODU v Tech, Joe? That's one of your boys right there. Look at this line. 5.5 point spread, down from 7.5. ODU get money.
They could win this outright.
Did it Monarchs?
Yeah. They could win this outright. Now, the last time they did strike the upset when Justin Fuentes was there. Va Tech was a 28.5 point road
I do
favorite.
remember that.
They lost with Gerard Evans. That was a terrible performance. They lost outright. Brent Key. Pry. I'm back to Brent. Key and Pry. Brent Pry could lose his job. Ooh. They lose this game, Donnie, they'll be 0-3. Yeah. And granted, you play Vanderbilt, you play South Carolina, 2 SEC teams, I get it. But you cannot lose as a 5.5 point home favorite to ODU. I like the Monarchs. They're disciplined on defense. They do have a balanced offense, but I just don't like the way the offense looks with Kyron Drones, and the pressure's on Brent Pry here. He hasn't made adjustments. They could start 0-3. He might not make it out of September.
Lake Michigan, Joe. In September, the Oregon Ducks head to the Windy City. How about that makeup right there? And look at this, Joe. 30.5s down to 25.5s now. People are buying. They're buying Northwestern, Joe. Why?
Well, I just think, again, we look at getting the kids up from week to week to week. Dante Moore and Oregon dominated. They were obviously emotional going up against a Big 12 opponent in Oklahoma State. We saw Dan Lanning call out the Oklahoma State team. Gundy gave them bulletin board material. And now you have to limp into Evanston in basically a high school stadium.
Why are they limping, Joe?
No, what I'm saying is they're not limping, but you walk in there, it's 15,000 kids, Donnie. I mean, I know Fox is there, but there's no crowd environment. You're overlooking. These kids want to be out on the boat. I mean, look, there's no doubt Oregon wins, and I understand Northwestern was a terrible performance against John Summerall and Tulane a couple weeks ago where they got smashed. But this is a bounce-back spot. I took the 27.5s. I think they're live. They just got to be in the fourth quarter. Even if they're down 35, you could backdoor it.
By the way, was it Ryan Field? They had the ugliest stadium before anyway. Now they just built a little place on Lake Michigan. When are we coming in with the new stadium?
I
we
think
close?
Next year they pumped $100 million into the facility.
Back at the helm there. He's got to take on the next millennium at this point right now.
Media royalty. Greenberg and all the rest. I mean, they can't pump money.
Is Wilbon over there?
Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Give me a quick one here on USC Purdue, Joe.
People like the over here.
59.5?
It should be a smash job by USC. I know Barry Odom has coached this team up, but just from a personnel perspective, they're going to get smashed today. Jordan Mayava and USC putting up points. They're averaging well over 500 total yards per game. The rushing attack is getting involved. It's USC or bust for me. I would only lay it. But do they get to the 60.5? I'm not so sure because I don't think Purdue gives you anything.
And also, shout out James Franklin today, taking on Villanova, in-state rival, minus 48.5. Play somebody, Penn State. I mean, Penn State might as well just play Notre Dame. Neither one of those teams want to play anybody this year.
One more quick, Memphis minus the 3.5 today.
That's quick enough, and we'll be right back.
Sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
Give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
The guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, I'm not. Listen, we thank them for their service.
do,
I love
yeah.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra
What's
point,
his
you got to
range?
hold your breath.
27 yards? You know what I mean?
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Yeah. Final segment, Joe. How did we get here right here? That's how much fun you have on the SportsGrid Network with college football today. Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi here. Kickoff coming up in just a few moments. So it's time just to rehash here and let the people know what we're sitting on here and some of these games that we absolutely love. And again, Georgia, Tennessee, 3.5-point number today. This could be a major factor in deciding the college football playoff and the SEC, Joe.
It can. I'm still going to take the lay the points with Georgia minus the 3.5. Is it a best bet? No, because we're seeing some movement come down. But the numbers suggest Georgia. I keep going. 8-2 against the number over the last 10 meetings. They've won 8 straight. The last 4 by 20 points per game. The last 4 games in Knoxville, they have averaged and won by an average margin of victory of 31.4 points per game, pure dominance. Give me Nate Frazier, though. 70-plus today. It's down to plus 140, but I think he breaks out with a huge performance. Georgia's running the rock. I like that.
Is it a referendum game for Gunnar Stockton, even though he's still like relatively early in his starting career? Like, don't you feel like he has to have a game where he makes a difference? It's like, oh, I just managed the game and I handed the football off.
Well, he can't have a turnover, right? That leads to a Tennessee victory. Again, I think if Georgia wins and covers, it'll come down to the rushing attack. As long as Stockton throws for 200 and a couple of touchdowns with no interceptions, Donnie, he's clean. That's good enough.
Talking about the quarterback position, and none brighter there for Notre Dame, who needs a win absolutely desperately. Joe believes that if they lose today, they're out of the playoff race. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But they're a 6.5-point favorite over the Texas A&M Aggies. What do we get out of C.J. Carr today? And certainly looking at that side in total, Joe.
Yeah, you like C.J. Carr to break that. You do. Notre Dame might win, but I'm taking the points with Marcel Reed and Texas A&M. They're coming off 2 disappointing performances, but they do have 2 games under their belt. I like that. I like a mobile quarterback in Marcel Reed. I took him 40-plus rushing yards in this matchup. I think he can score on the ground as well, but I think Texas A&M is live. Do not like the fact, and this is personal, people disagree, that Notre Dame is coming out of a bye week so early with a young quarterback. To me, that could be a detriment.
I look at that total, Joe, and I like it more than the side in this game. I do think it's going to be competitive, but that 50.5 just screams where I don't see where we're 17, like 16 type of game, Joe. I just don't see. I think Notre Dame opens this game up unlike what you saw, particularly from that Miami game. And number two, we know A&M's got a really good offense. A&M's going to be in the 20s. For me, I think we go over 50. I think we go over that 50
it's
number.
Good look. Good look. I mean, I'll keep an eye out. I'm more am on the side with Texas A&M, but I'm on Reed. I'm on Concepcion receiving yards.
Face on today, Joe. Come on
Face
now.
on could be the guy.
Passes.
If you look at Notre Dame, it has to be Jeremiah Love on the ground. We talk about not utilizing him, and keep an eye out for C.J. Carr, maybe potentially to hit pay dirt.
4:30 on the CW today. Big ratings bonanza. That's the South Florida Bulls taking on the Miami Hurricanes, Joe. Once again, that's a 17.5-point number, up from 15.5 early this week, and a total 53.5. Those are gone, Joe. 56.5s out there at just about every sports book right now. We're expecting some fireworks in South Florida.
We are. I like the points with South Florida. I'm rolling with the hot team. They're playing with house money. They don't have to win it. Just don't lose by 20-plus points, right? Cover the 17.5. I like the mobility of Byron Brown. I think there's more pressure. Mario Cristobal and Carson Beck in this matchup. And I think South Florida, from a defensive perspective, can get after Carson Beck, potentially maybe sack him a couple times, force him into a couple of turnovers. Give me South Florida. I don't know if they win it, but I like Byron Brown on the ground as well.
I'm interested to see, too, because they really, and we're talking about South Florida, laid waste to Boise State in week number 1. Like, nobody really gave them much of a chance. Like, it's Boise, they weren't that good. Where did they get Florida, the SEC team in in Gainesville? And they really played well and pulled that game out late. So now you're asking them to do it a third straight time. And, again, it's going to be on the road. And you're not expecting Miami to be like, it's South Florida. They're 0-2 coming in, which, quite frankly, many people probably thought they could have been 0-2 coming into this Miami game. That's not the case. That'll be a fun one to watch. But also, down in Baton Rouge tonight, it is going to be loud down there in Death Valley. Florida and LSU. It feels like a heavyweight fight. But one fighter can throw a knockout punch tonight, and that's LSU to Florida.
And Darren Nussmeier has a huge performance. I think he breaks out with 300-plus yards. I like LSU over there, team total. But I laid the 7.5. One of my best bets. I have them in South Carolina as two of my best bets on the day, sidewise. I think they step up, make a statement. I like Brian Kelly in the spot. They've won 5 of the last 6 by an average margin of victory of 10.2 points per game. They have much better playmakers offensively, and that defense led by Blake Baker, I think, makes a statement. It's all LSU tonight. Do like the total as well. I think we blow through the 47 and a hook.
Take a look at some of those early games, Joe, kicking off in about 30 seconds, we should say. Oklahoma and Temple. You take a look at Michigan and Central Michigan and Clemson and Georgia Tech, Wisconsin, Alabama. We got good games to start the day off, man.
I like both dogs, though. I like Northwestern with the points, but I like Wisconsin.
Temple.
I like Wisconsin.
And he likes Temple with the points. He loves Temple with the points.
Wisconsin. Danny O'Brien, the favorite at every bar in New Jersey and New York. Danny O!
Let's go. Luck of the Irish here, the Fighting Irish tonight, see if they pick up a victory, but a lot of fun had on the show today, a lot of information going over, a lot of picks given out. It's what we do in the SportsGrid Network every week on a Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's me, it's Joe Lisi, it's the boys in the back, and it's a lot of fun. And you know what the best part is, Joe? We do this exact same thing next Saturday at 10 a.m. Join us then. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck today.
Guess what, golfers? Vegas isn't just casinos and pool parties. In fact, there are 50 golf courses within a 15-mile radius of the Strip, all boasting beautiful desert oasis landscapes. So, if you're looking for a break from the action, consider hitting the links. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Donnie, the season is 6 months. 5 if you check out in September. You're going to have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month. That is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're going to win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. It's a Yankee tax and Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I don't like it. Does he think he's playing on the opening kickoff? Does he want to get a handoff at that point?
I mean, he's involved in the program. Here's the problem with James
Why do coaches even run out with the football team? Like, Andy Reid doesn't run out with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but it's the NFL. This is college
what about
kids.
High school, college basketball? Do those
they're
guys
like a
run out
father figure. Well, they used to be like a father figuring. Now the kids are making more than the coach.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.